Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the WCW Saturday Night Review Series for the 23rd of November, right around Thanksgiving time of 1991. And I'm loving this time because the formation of the Dangerous Alliance, my personal favorite wrestling stable of all time. I know a lot of people aren't. They aren't that big on the Dangerous Alliance, but I am huge on the Dangerous Alliance. This is a 90-minute episode featuring ads for the Starrcade pay-per-view, also featuring the weekly top 10 rankings, and also featuring highlights from the Clash, information on how to win tickets to Starrcade as well. Eric Bischoff hosting the WCW magazine, in which he recaps the injury to Sting by world champion Lex Luger and the U.S. title loss to Rick Rude at the Clash of the Champions. Obviously, Marcus Alexander Bagwell has been training with Mike Graham and Dustin Rhodes, and he'll be making his in-ring debut soon, following Ross conducting a ringside interview with Paulie Dangerously, in which Dangerously said that he's going to make an announcement at the Omni, but that he got wind that CNN was going to break it, so he didn't go ahead and make the announcement. Dangerously then brought out Rude and Medusa, and then introduced Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko as the newest members of the Dangerous Alliance. Dangerously then brought out WCW TV champion, who he mentioned would face the light heavyweight champion Brian Pillman at the Omni. He then introduced Bobby Eaton, one of Sting's closest friends, as part of the Dangerous Alliance as well. Dangerously then gave Zbyszko the nickname of the Cruncher, for his recent acts with Barry Windham at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view about a month before, where he crunched the arm of Barry Windham in a car. Anderson also attempted to speak to Ricky Steamboat, and Dustin Rhodes appeared when Steamboat was addressing Dangerously, and kind of going forward there. WCW Tag Team Champions Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat defeats Mike, Thor, and Bob Cook, 339. Rhodes pinning Thor. Following a bulldog during the bout, it is announced that Rhodes and Steamboat would defend against Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko on Thanksgiving night at the Omni. The Omni basically was the Madison Square Garden of WCW at the time. Jim Ross also conducted a ringside interview with Rhodes and Steamboat regarding their title win as the Cash Champions. Surprisingly, Steamboat returns to WCW and firing a challenge and facing the challenge of Zbyszko and Eden, or I'm sorry, Zbyszko and Anderson. They are not, I wouldn't say unready for it, but they are kind of downplaying some of that. Anyway, I mean, the match itself with the new tag champs is a basic squash. Steamboat hits the crossbody a couple times, hits a couple arm drags. The idea that Ricky Steamboat, who was a former NWA, which I guess would track to the WCW lineage, champion's a pretty big deal. The champions obviously are ready to take on anybody. PN News up next, not to the happiness of many people, but PN News doing the Yo Baby Real rap, and PN News in very interesting gear. Punch kick, very basic maneuvers, and a top rope splash from the 400 pounds of PN News. News runs the match about, with Pat Rose, 2 minutes, just over. Johnny B. Bad provides guest commentary for the match. He said that News and he were now friends and would soon be tag teaming together, and that was done with Teddy Long being along for the ride. The tag team never happens. Cactus Jack then pins Rick Ryder with a double arm DDT. 1 minute 58 match. 1 minute 58 seconds. Footage shown of Cactus Jack beating Van Hammer at the Clash of the Champions in the, I guess you'd say, all around the arena brawl type thing. One of the better matches that's there. It's also announced during the contest the Clash would be replayed on Tuesday, and at 10:50 p.m. Eastern, and after the match, Cactus Jack, who did a bunch of punches, kicks, gouges, and other basic maneuvers, throws him to the floor and continues to attack him. Van Hammer appears and brawls with Cactus Jack as this happens. I don't think the fans were as enamored with Van Hammer as the WCW brass may have wanted them to be. However, they are enamored enough that they react appropriately when he's there with Cactus Jack. Also hyped for the upcoming Starrcade commercials for Starrcade and the like. Starrcade 91, certainly not a well-planned Starrcade. I don't know that there was a really good Starrcade much before something like maybe 93's main event was decent, but Starrcade certainly had lost luster by the 90 to 91 range there. Anyway, we open the Freebirds, Jimmy Jam Garvin and Michael P.S. Hayes, facing off against the Young Pistols. Obviously, the U.S. Tag, or the team of Hayes and Garvin defeating Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong, 7:53. Hayes pins Smothers with an inside cradle. Prior to the match, it was announced that Armstrong would face Mr. Hughes the following night on the main event, which good for Hughes. After the bout, Smothers and Armstrong double teamed Hayes until Garvin clears them from the ring. Obviously, the Young Pistols, aka the team of Smothers and Armstrong, are willing to cheat and willing to do just about anything to keep things going in their general direction in a manner that is incumbent upon them to feel the need to be somewhat aggressive there. Anyway, so we got, really basic stuff. Tracy Smothers, still phenomenal. One of my favorite guys to watch ever. Sad when he passed away. Steve Armstrong, though, also, too, here, undervalued. Jimmy Garvin actually loses him in the middle of the match at one point, kind of walking around with his body slam and making it look awkward. I love when moves look awkward, but nobody gets hurt. The reason that's important is because it looks more like a contest. So if you are a guy that can make it look like you are struggling to do something, but everyone stays safe, that's the ideal for a quality wrestling match, at least in my mind, because if there's no struggle and it looks like you're cooperating, it's just dumb looking. Roll up, and the Freebirds get the victory there. The Freebirds obviously not exactly being given the best of opportunities here. Arachnaman, who sends a silly string flying everywhere as part of his ensemble of things, ultimately managing to bring things forward. Their U.S. champion Rick Rude, or actually, to be fair, before we skip too far forward, Tom Zink, Big Josh, and Arachnaman defeating the six-man tag team champions Thomas Rich, Terrence Taylor, Richard Morton, with Alexander York in an untitled match. Arachnaman pins Taylor. Roll up 650 when miscommunication between Taylor and Morton. After the bout, Taylor storms away, leaving the rest of his team in the ring. The York Foundation formation is something I actually am kind of interested to see. I had never seen all of it before now, but so it's kind of interesting to kind of catch up with that as I'm going back and doing prep work for these particular shows. I'm able to kind of catch things that I knew about, have seen clips of, but never saw the week-to-week build of, which is kind of cool. Big Josh being part of that is also kind of interesting. Taylor and Big Josh kind of squaring off really basic stuff in the beginning, but the Big Josh character, obviously Matt Bourne, I don't know where they were actually going with it, but the York Foundation obviously trying to stall for time and save time off. Needless to say, Arachnaman comes in, tries to go after Terry Taylor, doesn't get everything he wants in going after him, but does get enough to get under Taylor's skin a bit. Armstrong and Taylor having good battles throughout the years. Miscommunication with the members of the York Foundation has Alexander York ready to cry, and she's celebrating with her team even though they are not as successful as she would hope. Then we go to Paulie Dangerously's promo, which is fabulously done. Rick Rude's U.S. title also cool to look at. Medusa looking like $1 million in the support of everything. Bobby Eaton joining the Dangerous Alliance, a major surprise. Although better for him, as he's always kind of been better as a heel. Bobby Eaton, the babyface, really doesn't work nearly as well. Rick and Scott Steiner defeated WCW World Champion Lex Luger and Mr. Hughes in a tag team match. Rick pins Hughes with a bulldog off the top rope. 6:28 during the match. It's announced special feature would air on the main event, highlighting the feud between the four-man Steiner's return match in Steiner's last match in the last little while. So, the Steiners with Luger and Hughes obviously also getting ready for Rick Steiner to challenge for the world title around the loop a bit, although the loop is much shorter than it normally is, and we kind of get things going there. Needless to say, kind of an interesting run here, and we have the Steiners kind of fighting for themselves a little bit, but at the same time, Luger, I wouldn't say does no work, but tries to avoid things, rolls to the outside after a Steiner line. Luger trying to avoid contact, sending his bodyguard in. Of course, Harley Race still managing Lex Luger and had been since the July win of the World Championship. Scott Steiner managing to hit the double underhook bomb suplex and looking like $1 million there as well. Scott Steiner throwing himself over the top rope with an attempted clothesline. Did not get everything he wants there done, but managing to do everything he can. Mr. Hughes with a bunch of kicks on the outside and managing to go after his adversary here. Again, the continuation is Lex Luger managing to get a vertical suplex and managing to get things there. Scott Steiner slides into position and getting a short run here. Attempted clothesline, does not get everything he wants, but does manage to get a little bit. And Scott Steiner gets the tag at the last minute. The program closes with very little, I don't want to say fanfare, but the tag off to Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner gets the clothesline on Mr. Hughes. Hughes taking the fall to protect the champion, but the wonder is, can Rick Steiner, who has an amazing power slam on Mr. Hughes, get a victory over the world champion in the next little while? We'll be back with more right after this.